What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into the full story of Predator vs. Wolverine. In this story, we will be bringing together the 4-issue miniseries. We will get to see the many epic battles throughout time between a Predator and Wolverine. And as these two clash together, only one of them will survive. This is a fight to the death. Winner takes all. The only question that remains, who will be left standing? Now, make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, we are picking up in Alaska 1900. We have Logan, who is making his way out of the ice. He just raided a beaver lodge. He has skinned them, he is cooking them, using their pelts for warmth. This northern territory was a lawless frontier. All the way out here, you are all on your own. And for someone like him, it suited him just fine, as he dragged his catch of the day into a cave. A sleeping bear. You could say that this is his outside perimeter, a sentry at the gate. He truly just wants to stay away from humanity, by any and all costs. This is where we have the arrival of a ship. As it lands in the snow, what we see come out is none other than the Predator, getting out of his ship and beginning to investigate the area. The Predator follows a scanner. This scanner brings him to the location of one of his own, frozen in ice with spears and arrows covering his body. It appears that the locals are the ones responsible for taking him down. And so now our Predator is on the hunt, as we pick back up with Logan, making his way into town. Not a place that he likes to come often, but it's a place that has alcohol. There was a storm coming in, so he wanted to head to the post called Scar, a place mostly populated by loggers, trappers, miners, and a few women inclined to follow them. He usually only comes in for supplies, or maybe a drink or two. Coming into a bar, an old lady greeting him. She is currently talking to a man who has a job for someone crazy enough to do it, and he wants them to go out in this blizzard. As Logan begins to have his drinks, this man tries to bribe him, buying him one, then two, and then a bottle. Now, Wolverine obviously doesn't really want to talk to this guy. He tries to ignore him, but the man follows. As Logan sits down, two locals come up to him. They see all the furs that he brought in. They know that he's got more hidden away somewhere, that he's got treasures he's hiding. They want it, and they are gonna take it. As one of the men draw out a gun, this fight was over before it even began. Logan takes a bottle and he smashes it over one guy's face, breaks a chair over the next guy. With the legs of the chair still in his hand, he drives them into the man's chest. He takes the knife from that man and drives it into the other man's foot. As the man with the gun starts to unload his gun, missing Logan, Logan runs to the wall and grabs a saw. Running and jumping, he takes that saw and knocks the man's hand clean off. In a matter of seconds, both of these men, they are down for the count. With Logan leaving the bar, the man with the proposal, he goes chasing after him, saying that that was remarkable, that was amazing, and he is desperate. Somebody had kidnapped his son. They are holding him for ransom. That is why he wants Logan. And while all of this is going on, we have our Predator, who is taking down animals across the mountain, taking out anything that he thinks might be something of serious game. From mountain goats to cougars, even freaking orcas, which I think that's a first. I don't think I've ever seen a Predator take on a killer whale. But as our Predator heads back to his base, he sees the smoke, and it doesn't take him long to find the village. Coming in completely cloaked, the natives never saw him coming. That's where we pick up with Wolverine and his new companion, as they make their way through this blizzard. The horses begin to get spooked, not really sure what's wrong with them or what is going on. As they get closer to the woodline, what they see is not only animals, but people that are skinned and strung up from the trees. And Wolverine's companion goes on to say that this has gotta be the people that kidnapped his son, that they're monsters, that they are killers. But what they don't see hiding in the trees is the true monster. Wolverine's a little bit upset now. Those natives were the few people that he actually liked. They taught him how to forage. They had lived in harmony with nature, whereas everybody else that comes here, they seem to want to gobble everything up, to kill and butcher. As they approach the cabin, we see that the lights are on. The fire is burning, and while Wolverine makes his approach, we see that the Predator is outside watching, observing, and preparing. As we get inside the cabin, Wolverine kicks the door down. With the 4 men in this room, Wolverine slices through them, cutting through every single one of them like butter. I greatly appreciate the fact that Wolverine's claws are still bones in this scenario, but after Logan has destroyed all 4 of them, asking where he is, that's when he gets shot in the back. The man that had come, the man that hired him to do this job. He had done a commissioned railroad robbery with these guys, but they cut him out. They decided that they didn't need him, so he decided that he didn't need them anymore. Tipping his hat, going to walk out the door, that's when his head gets blown clean the freak off. And the Predator walks right through the door as it begins to do its thermal scans, scanning all of the individuals in the room. Going to pick one of them up from the corner, Wolverine jumps. He attacks, and he does a pretty heavy blow to our Predator. We see it bleeding out from its mask. Taking it off, it shows its face. As Wolverine goes in for the final blow, the Predator pulls out its spear. It breaks the claws on one hand of Wolverine, and in his pain, that Predator takes the spear and drives it into Wolverine's stomach. With Wolverine limping out the door, the Predator takes out its first aid kit. It begins to make preparations to heal its wounds, and Wolverine on the outside is doing exactly the same thing. The Predator putting some stitches on its neck, Wolverine pulling that spear from its stomach. The Predator goes chasing down Wolverine, and Wolverine is making a run for it. He's usually not one to run, but if he knows this situation, he knows that he's got to get out of here, get to a more defensive position, to think smarter. That's what brings us to the mouth of his cave. As Logan gets ready to run inside of his cave, making all kinds of noise, screaming at the Predator lands right in front of him, blocking his entrance into the cave. But the Predator didn't know about the sentry. He didn't know about the giant freaking grizzly bear. That's where we see the grizzly bear come out of the cave and it grabs hold of the Predator. The two of them struggling and fighting. The bear trying to drag this monster inside. Wolverine takes this as a victory. He assumes that the bear took care of him. And so as Wolverine takes off through the snow, walking away from this place, what we see arising from the cave is not the bear, but the Predator. As the Predator carries the bear's head away, this was only the first encounter of Predator and Wolverine. You see, he thought this was the end, but this was only the beginning of what would turn out to be the longest hunt of both of their miserable lives. That is what takes us to South America many years ago. Now, for Wolverine at this point in his life, there are many things that he can remember and some things that he just doesn't. All the experimentation that had happened to him, everything because of the Professor Thornton. After so many mind wipes, after all of the training, after everything that he has endured, there are some things that he has forgotten about. This is where we see him coming in to South America with Team X. Sabretooth, Jackson, Cruel, and Maverick. Both Wolverine and Sabretooth, they smell it. They smell blood. Their intel had told them that there was a guerrilla force planning a coup. A former general that was storing weapons and rallying support. Somewhere in this jungle, there was a stronghold. But when they get here, what they find is that the sentries and everybody else, they have been taken out. They have been skinned alive, hanging from their feet. Wolverine may have forgotten about this long ago. His memory may not be what it once was, but seeing this, something triggered in his brain. A lost memory of a monster in the woods, of a first and final hunt. Wolverine may have forgot about the Yautja, but it had not forgotten about him. And this time, he decided to bring some reinforcements. This is where Team X, they see up in the trees 5 individuals coming out of cloaking. 5 predators, ready to take down their prey. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up in current day. Wolverine has been fighting against the Predator, and he finds himself severely wounded, needing an opportunity, a break away from this. He has found a safe place to be able to recuperate, an opportunity for his healing factor to kick in, and he knows that he must take this break, because more pain is waiting for him out there, whether it be a 200-foot drop from this cliff, or the hunter that is waiting atop. Logan cannot help but feel the stubbornness of this monster, one that has come after him after all of these years, but he is also impatient. He has gone head to head with this thing enough times to know that he can trust his instincts. The Predator has moved on. It is looking elsewhere. At least, he hopes. As Wolverine begins to slip, the Predator drones come out and they begin to shoot at him. Wolverine, knowing he has no other option, he must dive. He jumps into the river below, and getting into this river, that is when the rocks fall upon him. They pin him down to the ground, struggling to get this weight off of him so he can move, as his lungs fill with cold black water. The Predator now diving into the water with him, looking like this might be the end for Logan. We pick up in South America many years ago. Team X has shown up on scene, believing that they are here to assassinate a politician, to seize an oil platform and take out a cartel. What they did not expect were the Predators. Already down 1, 4 against 5. And Wolverine has no clue what these things are. Like everyone else on Team X, their memories are regularly deleted, but he has carried one of their weapons around his neck over all of these years, like a scar, like a relic of pain that he understood, but never knowing where it truly came from. Ripping it off his neck, he launches it at the Predators, being able to slice one of them before it returns. He tells Creed, Maverick, and Jackson to all fall back. The Predators go invisible, and Sabretooth with his minigun, he gets out in the front. He starts laying lead downrange, ripping through anything in its path, the vegetation being turned into Swiss cheese. Sabretooth seizing fire, asking if the monster is dead, or if it is just hiding. This is when it comes up from behind Sabretooth and it impales him in the back. But Sabretooth quickly turning on the Predator. He grabs the Predator and he shoves that spike directly into the Predator itself. And so this spear, it is now piercing Sabretooth and the Predator, with Maverick saying that Creed is down, but he took one of them with him. We see Team X on the move, as they are hightailing it to a safer position. This is where a Predator grabs Jackson, a lasso around the neck, and it completely decapitates her. Wolverine and Maverick, they begin to open fire in all directions. A giant explosion that sends them flying backwards. Maverick unable to walk, Wolverine getting up to his feet, and an invisible Predator showing up behind him. As it comes out of its camouflage, Maverick takes the opportunity to put 4 rounds into it. With the Predator down, Maverick is picked up by Logan and they hightail it to a safe location, but the other Predators are not far behind. When Wolverine and Maverick get inside the building, what they find is some kind of weapons munition. This is a weapons storage facility, more than likely used by the General, looking like he was more than ready to go to war. And in fact, he was. The General and his men, they have been camped out hiding inside of this temple. The General knows why Wolverine is here, because today they are not fighting against one another. Today, they are fighting against the monsters that are hunting them on the outside. Not knowing what they are, not knowing why they are here, the General does know one thing. Those creatures on the outside are a much bigger threat than Wolverine. And so today, they live or they die together. Wolverine having no other option but to agree. We pick up a little bit later, about an hour. The General's men standing guard, weapons pointed at the entrance, waiting for anything to show its face. In the blink of an eye, one of the heads of these men, it explodes, and the men begin to open fire. As the 2 Predators charge in, full speed, shields out, ready to fight, they throw those shields and we see men sliced in half. The shoulder cannons of the Predators now mounted. They are looking for any and everything that they can take out. But as they get inside, what they find is that this place is relatively empty. Besides the guards at the front, there is nobody left inside. This is when the beeping begins. The Predators didn't know it, but this place was rigged to blow. A trap set up by Wolverine to take these Predators out once and for all. With the giant explosion, it was believed that everybody was dead, the general included. This is what Wolverine told everybody. The general died, and whatever was there, whatever those creatures were, they died with him. Because of course, nothing could actually survive that. Or at least, that's what Logan believed. With a hand coming up out of the rubble, we are taken to Alberta, Canada, the Weapon X facility years later. We watch as the guards are taken out one by one because a predator has shown up here. It has tracked Wolverine to this location. The predator has made its way into this facility. It has broken down every single door, hacked its way through every single soldier that stands in his way. Finally finding the location of Wolverine, he will not be separated from his prize. But when the predator finally does find Wolverine, he finds that Wolverine has been captured, that he is being experimented on, that his foe that he has hunted for all of these years is being used for nothing more than a pincushion. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up in Canada, current day. We pick up with Wolverine pinned underneath a giant rock at the bottom of a riverbed. He knows he's in a bad spot. He knows if he doesn't break free, this will be the end. But he's also come to learn his enemy, this creature that has been hunting him. He understands the technology that it is using. You see, Wolverine, he doesn't need all the fancy gear. You could throw him into the wilderness with the clothes on his back, and he would survive. But the predators, they have become dependent on technology. This doesn't mean that they are not formidable, but sometimes you get a little bit cocky when you have such an advantage. It's the age-old tale of the tortoise and the hare. The hare got too cocky, he thought he could win the race, but through his cockiness, he ends up losing. As Wolverine sits here and bleeds out, he uses that blood to fill up the water, to make the water murky, to make himself invisible. The predator's mask, it detects heat. Down here in the water, Wolverine is easy to see, but as his warm blood begins to swirl around him, this creates more of a cloud, a heat cloud, making the predator's visibility almost zero. When he jumps in and tries to take down Wolverine, he finds that Wolverine is gone. He was able to make his escape. This is where we jump into the past, Weapon X facility, and right now the Predator is overlooking everything on the monitors. He is observing what they have been doing to Wolverine. Now Wolverine doesn't remember much of his time with Weapon X. He was completely zeroed out, filled with adamantium, as the Predator begins to observe Wolverine's body, cutting open the first layers of flesh, exposing the ribs. He sees the adamantium skeleton, but while he is doing this, Wolverine wakes up. His claws come out, and he drives them right into the Predator. But Wolverine is in a very weakened state. He is unable to do more than what he just did. This is when the Predator, it pulls out something from its pocket. A little canister of acid. Pouring this right into Wolverine's mouth, it begins to choke Wolverine. It begins to eat away at all of his flesh, as we see the life fade away from Wolverine. Nothing left over but an adamantium skull. Once the Predator found out that he had been sleeved in adamantium, Wolverine became the ultimate prize, the ultimate trophy. This would be a fine skull to add to his collection. And so he picks up Wolverine and he takes him out of here. He takes him back to his ship, setting Wolverine down on the ground, observing all the other skulls that he had taken as prizes. As the Predator prepares to lift off in his ship, what he was not anticipating was the government coming down on him. Billions and billions and billions of dollars sunk into this project, a breach of security. It was only a matter of time before the cavalry showed up. This is where we have the fighter jets. They are circling this alien ship. Before they get the opportunity to engage, one of them is already shot down. As the Predator lifts off and goes to take off out of the atmosphere, the other fighter jet, it follows behind. He fires every single missile at his disposal, and while it was a direct hit, it wasn't enough to bring the ship down. This is when the berserker rage takes over, the default emotion of Wolverine. His claws come out and he begins to scratch away at the hull. More than likely, those rockets landing on the ship probably provoked him, probably woke him up, but he is able to break out of the ship and he goes falling down to the ground. As he falls through the atmosphere, we see Wolverine burst into flame. Falling like a shooting star, Wolverine lands, creating a huge impact crater, his body lying there smoking, still on fire. When Professor Thornton had got his body, he also found one of the masks of the Predators. Taking this and utilizing it, it helped him improve on some other things, on some ways to control Wolverine. This is what takes us to 1 week ago. Wolverine has spent a lot of time trying to figure out his broken history. He had gone back to the ruins of the Weapon X lab, and what was left behind was the Predator's helmet. Wolverine sets this thing up. He posts it up in the middle of the field and he waits. He waits for his enemy to show up. He has set the trap. After all of these years, he is ready. He is ready to bring this all to an end on his terms. In the wild north, where the only thing that matters in this place, the only law, is tooth and claw. But before we go there, we have to jump back to Japan, the Muramasa estate in the past. Wolverine had come here to train with Muramasa, arguably the best swordsman, the greatest swordsmith in the entire world. He trained day in and day out, never allowing Wolverine to use his claws, letting Wolverine know that the day you need to use your claws, you will be so proficient with a sword, not only would you be able to defeat me, you would be able to defeat legions. But as they practice and as they train, Muramasa gets the scent. Today, Wolverine and Muramasa are going to fight together because the Predator has come for his prey. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up present day Canada. Wolverine has staked the Predator's helmet in the meadow. He has left it out here as bait. Wolverine knew that this thing would never stop coming until Wolverine's head belonged to him. And so he waited out here for a week, and then he finally came. Now, Wolverine knew that this creature, it was gonna know that this is an ambush, and that's exactly what he was counting on. He set up the obvious traps, just enough to give it a sense of danger, give it the sense of confidence in avoiding them. Wolverine also knew that he needed to take a hit. He needed his blood on the ground. This would give the Predator the confidence that it needed to charge full force in. Not only that, but once the Predator got its helmet, he'd think that he had already won. And Wolverine, he could have tried to rig this with a bomb or some kind of poison gas. But Wolverine wanted to prove that he is deadlier than the Predator wearing his helmet, deadlier than all of this technology. And so with the Predator reaching its helmet, he goes to put it on and we jump to Japan. We pick up with Muramasa. In the past, when the Predator had come for Wolverine here, Muramasa did not step in. For Muramasa, this is not his enemy, and so he leaves Wolverine to the fight. He wants to see who is the better. Will it be Wolverine or will it be the Predator? He tells Wolverine that if he is to die, he will forge his soul into a sword. But if Wolverine truly wants to know who is the better, he tells Wolverine that your claws and your anger, they must stay sheathed. And so as the two collide, we see how well trained Wolverine has become, being able to get a cut on the Predator. That's when the Predator's shoulder cannon pops up and it shoots at Wolverine. And so Wolverine pulling out his claws, wanting it to do it his way. This is when the Predator goes cloak, goes completely invisible and takes off. But it's not running from Wolverine. It is running because agents of the Hand have shown up, not wanting to take the chance in this fight, leaving Wolverine and Muramasa to take on the Hand themselves. Now, Wolverine's enemies had saved him in Japan, but he made his way back to New York, back to the mansion, showing up here only to be met by Charles Xavier. And that is when the target shows up on Charles Xavier's head, the 3 dots ready to take him out. Wolverine tackling him to the ground, and now Charles barely conscious. As Wolverine looks to the woodline, he sees the missiles coming in, the missiles landing on the upper part of the mansion. And so Logan tells Colossus to get Charles Xavier to safety. He is headed to the upper floors where all the children are. As he goes in to help Kitty, this is when the ropes wrap around him and zap him. As the Predator comes in to finish the job on Wolverine, that's when Nightcrawler bamps in, grabs Wolverine, and bamps out. Wolverine very upset that he's even involving himself. The truth is, Wolverine knows that this is his fight, that he has brought danger to everybody. One of the reasons why he doesn't want to be here, or he believes that he shouldn't be here at the mansion. He's got too many enemies, and these enemies are jeopardizing the people that he loves. He tells everybody to stay away, with him taking off to go find the Predator. He finds it, but it has Rogue. And this is where Wolverine gives himself up, the Predator throwing the cuffs onto the ground. He didn't want to fight, at least not here. He wanted to move the battlefield away from the mansion, as the Predator is escorting Wolverine to his ship. This is where we see Wolverine coming up from behind him. You see, what he had captured was not the real Wolverine, it was Danny. This is when Nightcrawler bamps in, grabbing some things on the back of the Predator's helmet. Kitty coming from behind the Predator and tripping him, making him fall into the ground. The X-Men have shown up to fight the Predator, and the Predator quickly recognizes that he is far out of his league. After his defeat, he goes invisible and he takes off, picking us back up in present day. Wolverine leaping down on top of the Predator, driving his claws right into his back. With a giant electrical charge, we see Wolverine flung off the Predator. The Predator pulling out a dagger. Wolverine lets him use him like a sheath. They were going to end this eye to eye. For a fatal moment, they were one and the same. He thought this might have been the end, but the Predator refused to die on Wolverine's terms. He didn't recognize the numbers, but he knew a countdown when he saw one. The Predator was going to get his trophy even if it meant taking his own life. And with the detonation, we see the two of them explode. A giant blast reverberating in all directions. And in the aftermath, Wolverine isn't sure how many days had passed, but when he finally pulled himself out of that crater, there was an emptiness inside of him. It took him a while to realize where this came from, but if he's being honest with himself, he misses being hunted by the Predator, misses having something out there keeping him on his toes, constantly looking for him. But in the aftermath of this explosion, the Predator's dagger was left behind. Wolverine seeing his reflection in the blade, remembering its keen edge every day of the rest of his life. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. You know, I was a little bit worried that they wouldn't be able to close this out well, but I think they did a good job in doing it. At the end of the day, Wolverine did win. But Wolverine only won in the sense that the Predator decided to blow himself up, thinking that it might take out Wolverine as well. And I think this might be the only way that Wolverine could actually win this fight. We have seen Wolverine getting his butt kicked for a while now. From the very first issue, the Predator has had his number. Had it not been for Wolverine's healing factor, this would have never been a debate. The only thing that saved Wolverine is his healing factor, but also seeing the X-Men take on a Predator and just mop the floor with him. That was absolutely beautiful. All in all, this 4-issue miniseries was a lot of fun. We got to see different aspects throughout time, different ways that Wolverine may be able to fight against something like a Predator. Now, there was definitely some plot armor, like the bear in the cave in the first issue. Just small little things that help Wolverine either get away or get the upper hand. Had it been not for those small conveniences that Wolverine got, this might not have gone on as long as it did. But it was a lot of fun, it was very enjoyable, and I hope that we get something like this later on in the future. Maybe not with Wolverine, but maybe with somebody else. Who do you guys think would be a good matchup against a Predator? Who would you like to see fight against one? Let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything that happened in this series, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It's gonna get you completely caught up on everything going on with this series. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership, much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.